Onward to the parable of the mustard seed, or the story of Kisa Gotami. Now this is really a famous story. It's told, I've heard it in many different traditions. The way I tell it is kind of a mix of the three different traditions that I've studied in, because it is told in all of the traditions. It's a famous parable. Slightly different than the Christian parable of the mustard seed, but both are wonderfully enlightening. So the story of Kisa Gotami. Now, Kisa is a very beautiful young Indian girl who's born in northern India, in Kipalavatsu, the same place where the Buddha was teaching. Now, she's probably maybe 23 or 24 at this time. And Kisa becomes pregnant. And 9 months later, she's very pregnant. And then she soon after gives birth to a baby boy, like that. And she loves this baby boy. I mean, she gives all of her heart every moment to this baby. She cannot do enough. Spoiling it, doting on it, caring for it, everything she can do. And but after a month, tragically, the baby suddenly dies. And Kisa is devastated. I mean, her heart is just torn from her chest. And she picks the corpse of her baby up, and she runs out into the street outside of her house, and she's wailing, "Please, please, I need medicine. Won't somebody please help me? I need medicine for my baby." And she's zigzagging up the street. And people approach her to help her, but they can see that the baby's already deceased, so they think she's maybe a little bit mad. So they kind of shun her away. But still she's making her way up the street to the village square, wailing at the top of her lungs, "Please, please, please, won't somebody help us? We need medicine." So finally, she makes it to the village square, and she falls to her knees, clutching the corpse of her baby, wailing again at the top of her lungs, "Please, somebody help us. We need medicine. My baby's sick." And again, there are more people approaching her, but they can see that the baby's already deceased, so they kind of leave her to wail her lungs out. So finally, a wise man, an elder man, approaches her and compassionately puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "Kisa, go to see the Buddha. The Buddha will know how to help you." So Kisa, right, recognition. Right, the Buddha, why didn't I think of that? And she wipes the tears away, and she stands up with a little bit of hope in her heart, holding the corpse of her baby. And the wise man says, "Yes, he's over there beyond the village gate. Go there now and see him. He will talk to you." So she's like, "Yeah, right, thank you." And she runs towards the village gate, holding the baby corpse, like that. And as she's approaching the Buddha, it's said in the text that his aura was so radiant that she fell in front of him, stunned by his aura, as some of these texts can be that way. Really emphasizing how deep in meditation the Buddha was underneath this shade tree. So Kisa there at her knees, clutching the corpse of her baby, and she says, "Please, won't you please help us?" And the Buddha, surveying the scene, can clearly see what's happening here. She says, "Yeah, Kisa, I can help you. I can help you. Go to each house in the village and collect one mustard seed from each household. And when you have a palm filled with mustard seeds, bring me the mustard seeds." Like that. Kisa, "Oh, okay, mustard seeds, I can do that. Sure. No problem." And the Buddha says, "But the mustard seeds must come from households that haven't ever experienced any death in their household." Kisa, "Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, I can do that." And it's, again, a ray of hope. And she wipes her tears and she makes her way back to the village. And she knocks on the first door. And a woman about Kisa's age answers the door. And Kisa says, "Pardon me, but I'm collecting mustard seeds from the households in the village so that the Buddha might be able to help me with my baby." The woman says, "Oh, mustard seed. Okay." And she turns around to go to the kitchen. And Kisa says, "But I need to know, have you experienced any death in this household? And the young lady says, well, yeah, actually, my father died last year. So yes, I have. And Kisa says, oh, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, but I can't accept any mustard seeds from this household, because the mustard seeds I collect must come from households that haven't experienced any death. So she goes to the next door, and a middle-aged man answers. And Kisa says, pardon me, sir, but I'm collecting mustard seeds from households throughout the village so that the Buddha might be able to help me with my baby. And the man says, oh, mustard seed, fine. And turns around to go to the kitchen. And Kisa says, but I need to know, should we pause for the plane? I need to know, have you experienced any death in this household? And the man says, well, yes, actually, my sister passed away not less than a year ago. Both my parents have passed away. So yes, actually, I have. And Kisa says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't accept any mustard seeds from this household, and I'm terribly sorry for your losses. But the mustard seeds that I collect must come from households that haven't experienced any death. So Kisa goes to the next door, and she knocks on that door. And an elderly man answers on a cane, kind of with every effort hobbling. And Kisa says, oh, pardon me, sir, but I'm collecting mustard seeds from each household in the village so that the Buddha might be able to help me with my baby. And the elderly man says, oh, very good. And he starts to turn around very slowly to go to the kitchen to get the mustard seed. And Kisa says, oh, but I need to know, have you experienced any death in this household? And the elderly man kind of chuckles. It's like, well, look at me. I've outlived all of my family and most of my friends. Of course, I have. And Kisa says, oh, I'm terribly sorry for your losses, but I can't accept any mustard seeds from this household, because the mustard seeds I collect must come from households that haven't experienced any death. And she goes to the next door, and the next door, and the next door, and the next door, and the next door. And so she finally realizes the lesson, the teaching that the Buddha gave her. And so she falls to her knees, tears streaming down her face, not only from her broken heart, but from joy, that she realizes that her pain is not personal, that we all suffer the same pain like that. And so not the pain of losing a loved one, although arguably we all will suffer that pain at some point, but the suffering comes from the present moment delivering something we don't want, our need for the present moment to be different than what it is. And so Kisa has that insight, and she transforms her suffering into compassion.